That summer heat, it can't get more stubborn than this. Matthew, if I could have your help in changing my graphics over to the heat. Folks in the southeast going to see some relief from these miserable temperatures, but we have to get through at least one more day of this. We'll watch the change that will ultimately be happening. That change, though, going to come over the next 24 hours or so. Cold front is moving in from the Midwest, and as that's diving farther to the south, it is going to bring a change in those temperatures. The significant change isn't really going to probably be felt, though, until Saturday. So we got a couple of more days where this is going to be significant, but cooler air as far as departures, we're talking 5 to 10 degrees, maybe even some spots closer to 20 degrees off the typical average high, which could mean that we've got some of the coolest air so far this summer, which wouldn't be all that bad, especially when we're considering what type of alerts that we've been dealing with. Extreme heat warnings that we have in effect along the Mississippi, in the southeast. We still have a lot of heat advisory, but there are some pockets here, some areas that we're not now seeing the heat alerts in effect, which in a way it's not subjective, but different thresholds or parameters that are used to get these alerts issued.
You used both words.
Use both words, sorry.
Parameters and thresholds.
Yeah.
I like it. I like options. Yeah, I think, we're seeing it start to break down. This has been a very potent dome of high pressure, and anytime you have a very stubborn air mass, and one that's been building and building over time, it takes a stronger front to move it along, and we're going to see that happen. I think it's just been challenging. It's just been very hot, and just it's been tough. So I think people are ready for a change, no matter how it comes, and it is going to be a very dramatic change with temperatures. Yeah,
it is. And we had talked about the heat at the top of the hour. I think to focus here on what sort of tropical interest we'll be dealing with, that's going to be something to pay attention to. It's a bit chaotic when we look at water vapor this morning because we've got a front that is approaching. Mid-levels roughly located south of St. Louis now, and it's trying to move in this direction. And it will reach the southeast eventually. But what we have here, a bit of a stubborn area of high pressure. You can see that almost clockwise spin in the atmosphere this morning. So that is bringing in some rich moisture. We still have tropical moisture that's been very present in the southeast. And with that moisture, which is so rich in the southeast, you get a trigger and you're going to get, ultimately get some showers and storms. Very rich available moisture, though, in the Carolinas, out through the Outer Banks. And from a storm perspective, it's interesting watching in the low country of South Carolina, some of these storms trying to get going, but as they've moved off the coast, it's more of an issue for just the water, right?
I mean, that's a feisty little storm that went over
Bald Head Island,
Myrtle Beach. Yeah, Bald Head Island. Wow.
Getting a downpour this morning, right?
A lot of lightning.
Yeah.
I mean, unfortunately, when you're asking for relief, it's going to come in the form of a thunderstorm.
Yeah.
There is a lot of moisture, so any of these little storms have also provided very heavy rain, blinding rain if you're driving through it, if you're standing in it. But it does give you a little bit of cool down temperature-wise. Humidity just sticks in place, at least until we can get this front to sag through. But there's where we're looking at that low to potentially develop right along the boundary. Nothing unusual about that either.
Right.
A front stalls, it slows down. You can get these lows that develop right along it.
Yeah, and that low is what's going to be the focus of our attention as we head toward the weekend, regardless on if it develops or not. It's irrelevant. I think that the impacts are still going to be there, which means heavy rain. The potential for us getting maybe a tropical depression, they're pretty high, much higher, at least according to the chance of development when we look at the European ensembles, when we look at this potential development. So we'll see if something forms. If it does, then it's probably going to mean increased rain around that low, but as it drifts out toward Bermuda, the central Atlantic, it's not going to be a huge threat that we have here in the southeast. So.
Yeah, you needed to go east, as you said, not inland, like Chantal did. I think it's interesting, too, because we have the flood risk, right? And it does start to move further south, but we'll see where the front lines up. We'll see the low development, and that'll ultimately determine who gets the heavier rain each day.